Welcome to Healthy Lifetalk. Today, we're going to talk about foods that naturally decrease cortisol. Managing stress involves a lot of things: a healthy work-life balance, good boundaries, sleep, and exercise. But changing what you eat can also have a significant impact on your stress levels. That's because what you eat impacts cortisol levels. Cortisol is known as the stress hormone. It's part of your body's activating, energizing response, and it triggers the fight or flight response. But it plays a lot of other essential roles in your body. Cortisol helps regulate everything from sleep cycles and inflammation to blood pressure and blood sugar levels. Cortisol is released by the adrenal gland in response to a physical threat like an injury or a mental threat like a deadline. And cortisol isn't inherently wrong, it's helpful in the short term. But exposure to it for too long can lead to a chronic stress response, contributing to more anxiety, depression, fatigue, inflammation, weight gain, higher blood pressure, a decreased immune system, and a higher chance of diabetes and heart disease. Therefore, you can see how decreasing cortisol can significantly impact physical and mental health. When researchers explored how diet impacts cortisol, they found that people on a traditional diet of high fat, sugar, and carbs had much higher cortisol levels than people who were eating more fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and polyunsaturated fats. So, an anti-inflammatory diet can counteract the impact of cortisol. Inflammation is essentially a low-level stress response in the body. Your immune system sends out macrophages and cytokines to kill off pathogens, but the side effect is that it also damages healthy tissue and leads to chronic stress on the body. Inflammation also increases intestinal permeability, known as leaky gut, which can allow bacteria into the bloodstream, triggering even more inflammation. To counter it, we can choose foods that lower cortisol, inflammation, and the stress response. As we go through this list of foods, you may recognize it as having much in common with the Mediterranean diet, which effectively decreases inflammation and improves mental health. Okay, before we jump in, while you can supplement with many of these nutrients, you'll almost always be better off eating nutritionally dense whole foods, not just supplements. That's partly because your gut health depends on the fiber from whole food and also because the nutrients in foods are more diverse and complex than concentrated supplements. Okay, so let's talk about foods that naturally decrease cortisol. Number 1. Foods high in B vitamins can help metabolize or burn off cortisol, and this is especially true of foods that are high in B12. These include organ meat, beef, chicken, eggs, nutritional yeast, and fortified cereals. Number 2. Foods high in omega-3s. These reduce inflammation. Fish are often the best source, but you can also get omega-3s from plant-based sources. These include walnuts, avocados, salmon, chia, flax, olive oil, tuna, mackerel, herring, anchovies, etc. Number 3. Magnesium-rich foods. Magnesium is essential for many bodily processes but especially for relaxing muscles, reducing inflammation, and metabolizing cortisol. It also helps regulate the heartbeat and decrease blood pressure. When we're stressed, we excrete magnesium and potassium in our urine, and low magnesium levels can intensify stress, creating a vicious cycle. Getting enough magnesium has been shown to help decrease anxiety and stress. You can find magnesium in pumpkin seeds and other seeds like almonds and pistachios. You can also find magnesium in broccoli, bananas, avocado, artichokes, spinach, and dark chocolate. Dark chocolate contains magnesium and high amounts of flavonoids, which lower stress reactivity in the adrenal glands. So yes, chocolate can be helpful. Number 4. Foods that help regulate blood sugar. These are also important to decrease cortisol. If you let yourself get too hungry by going too long between meals, that can be pretty stressful for the body. So, eat regular meals and protein-rich foods, especially beans and legumes, which have antioxidant properties. Another helpful thing is foods that promote a healthy gut microbiome. Most of the serotonin in your body is in your gut, and good bacteria can improve mental health. There are 2 ways to do this. First, eat lots of high-fiber foods and a lot of variety. Fiber comes from plants, so fruits and vegetables are essential. The different fibers from the various fruits and vegetables are what the good bacteria eat, so having lots of fiber keeps them happy and your gut healthy. Fiber is called a prebiotic. Dietitians recommend eating 30 different types of plants per week, which will help keep the probiotics happy in your gut. And that's what we're talking about for number 2, probiotics. These foods have good bacteria, like live yogurt, kimchi, kombucha, kefir, and sauerkraut. Number 5, stay well hydrated. Dehydration is a stressor on the body. One study showed that young soccer players who were more dehydrated also had higher cortisol levels. So, drink enough water every day. Also, it's essential to know that some foods can increase cortisol. These include caffeine, saturated fats, simple sugars like sodas and candy, and simple carbs like white bread. They can contribute to more cortisol. Now, not all carbs or sugars are bad for you. You can eat them in moderation. You want to be mindful of how they impact your stress levels. So, 5 types of food can help you decrease cortisol and stress levels. As I said before, you can't rely on food for stress management. Taking a whole body approach is better. But knowing what foods to eat and not to eat to manage cortisol can be one critical piece of your treatment puzzle. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching and take care.